Next speaker, Katie Dougal-Simpson, is doing some super innovative things in bringing marketing brilliance to advisors on a very hand-to-hand manner. I'm very excited because I'm big about channel enablement, and that's where the money comes in. So Katie's going to come up and give you a case study on modern financial marketing for advisors.
Thank you.
You all good?
All good. Good afternoon. I'm so excited to be with you here today. Outside of my faith and family, what gives me energy is helping advisors show up in the digital world. One of my favorite phrases is, it's not about who you see, it's about who sees you. And I feel like the more technology, the more we get in the digital world, it couldn't be more true. Personal branding is so much more and so crucial in today's digital era. So I'm excited to share with you what I've learned about personal branding and how I created a fractional marketing program to help support advisors, specifically in the social media space. So before we start, I just want to do a quick reflection, and I want you to think about the first person that truly believed in you, maybe when you didn't believe in yourself yet. It could be a coach or a mentor or a friend, or maybe someone that gave you permission to think and dream bigger. And I want you to think about what that unlocked for you. For me, this was our managing partner, Stephen Dugal. He was our CEO and managing partner for Northwestern Mutual of Louisiana and Mississippi. And at the time, I served as his chief marketing officer. And we had 6 offices and served 130 plus advisors. And on paper, it all sounded great, but the reality is that marketing is something that constantly gets put on the back burner. And so we were having marketing meetings and strategies, and our advisors would come up with some really great ideas. But the reality was that the implementation and execution was little to none. And one time an advisor joked with me, and he was like, hey, if I just pay you on the side to do a fraction of this marketing, would you be able to do it? And I was like, oh, I guess I had never really thought of that. So I took the idea to our managing partner, and he not only told me yes, but he said, go run with it. Now, luckily, he's my dad, so he technically had to tell me yes, because if he told me no, I would have ran with it anyway. But we created RAD Marketing, which was a 6-month subscription program. I fact-find it with the advisors and our leaders to really see what marketing need was there and what would be the most value for them. And at the time, this is 2020, 2021, so social media was becoming more relevant. In our business, we were getting more access to it to be able to do new and different things. And I really knew that as digital got more and more important, that this would be an area for us to focus on, and that a lot of times advisors want marketing, but they don't know how to start or what marketing they really want. And so if we could start with a framework of like, hey, let's see how you're being framed online. Let's look at a social media strategy. Maybe that could kickstart something for them. So I also believe that social media was the fastest way to shift perception, to really build trust, and to create a room where conversations could be told, their story could be told, and really use social media to build personalization. And kind of, financial planning is so like corporate, and you want someone that's handling your finances to see a human side of them. So let's utilize social media to do that. So in 2021, we launched RAD. So 6 months, we're going to do social media. We're going to look at your website. Very basic stuff just to start. I started with these 5 advisors who were all in different aspects of the business because I wanted to test what worked with different advisors. So one advisor that we partnered with was very new in the business. He just graduated college, and so 2021, fresh in COVID, doing like a no salary career. Let's see how we can market him. Another advisor was 3 to 5 years in the business, but was also in leadership. So he was trying to recruit others and kind of have that dual marketing role where we're not just marketing his business, but we're marketing the career side. And then we had an advisor who we call it a scratch office. So we opened a new location and he was kind of a one-man stop in that office. So we said, let's try this to see what we could do to build our brand in our office in this area. And then I had 2 more advisors who were 20 plus years in the business. One was a rock star female, and the other one, he was like, I'm not sure what I'm gonna get. I'm not on social media. But he was like, I trust you. Let's just see what happens with it. And it's funny because he is one of my best clients today and now loves social media. So we started with them, different goals, different voices, but all the same concept of not knowing how and where to start. We kept it simple. This was some of the social content that we did for them. We updated their website bios, a lot of graphics to just kind of be consistent with their social media presence and really help them show up in a way that felt authentic and real to them. And this was the first time that they'd ever see their brands come to life, so it was really exciting. At the time, we're like, we could do Facebook, and Instagram is becoming compliant. So really exciting time for them to just kind of see what marketing could do for their business and take something that they're not used to and really just bring it to life. And we realized that intentional framing in this way really built trust with the people that they were trying to reach. So what we saw at the end of 6 months was higher engagement and reach. We saw 2 direct leads from Facebook, which was really exciting for some of those advisors because it was just a win to have that within the first 6 months and really testing social media and what we could do with it. And the biggest one wasn't really the numbers or the metrics, but it was the client conversations that came from them showing up on social media. So advisors started hearing from clients and prospects about what they were posting and what they were doing in the community, and they started receiving really great feedback, and suddenly they were not just on the phone or seeing them in public or in a physical place, but clients and prospects were seeing what they were doing online, and conversations were coming from that. And it was the kind of pre-framed ROI that you really can't put into words. It was trust. So they were finding that they were building trust through social media and really exciting. So within the first 6 months, we went from having 6 advisors in the pilot after the first 6 months. By the end of the year, we had 25 advisors in our program within the Louisiana Mississippi network. We had a waiting list of people that wanted to get on social media and have someone take that off their plate. And then we also realized that our advisors now didn't just want social media, they wanted other strategic marketing support. So social media was kind of like the gateway for us to be like, oh, well, could we do a client event? Could we have, this marketing support? And what does a client touch point look like? And so it really grew within the first year. And then within the second, year till today, I have now worked with advisors across the country. And the crazy part is that I have not even marketed myself, but the advisors get so excited about social media that they talk to other advisors that are in their study group or in their peer group, and advisors will call me and be like, I don't know what exactly you're doing, but can you run my social media? So it's really exciting to see them get excited and see the value of what fractional marketing could really do. 3 things that I learned within growing this within the first 2 years is framing over posting. So you are what Google says you are. We could do social content, we could have client events, but the first thing people are going to do whenever you reach out to them is look you up online. So how are you framed, and how can we make sure that you're framed in a way that resonates with the people that you want to reach? The second is clarity over comparison. So a lot of advisors ask about ROI, but many don't know how to define it, and it's really hard to define whenever it comes to branding and brand health and social media. So really defining, what does ROI mean to you? For some advisors, like when we just started the pilot, it was, we just want to show up online and have you manage our social media presence. Some get very into the nitty-gritty of the numbers and like, how is this affecting my new clients, my lives, my production? And so really defining what that means for each advisor and knowing that whatever we decide, it's okay, but it creates clarity over the comparison that we can get in the social media world. And I am a huge Alex Hormozi fan. I love Alex Hormozi. If you don't follow him, you should, because I just think he's a marketing genius. But he posted this year where he talks about he has a friend that has 5,000 followers. Her average social media content gets maybe 19 likes, and she brings in $1 million a year. She doesn't necessarily need 500,000 followers, or, we compare ourselves to different people. If you're targeting the right people, you're going to get the ROI that you want, whether you have 200 followers, 300 followers, 1,000 followers. And it's not just about chasing the algorithm, it's about attracting alignment with who you're trying to reach and your ideal client. And the third is to scale with structure. So obviously, it became really popular in our network. So having to scale for like onboarding, client, content, compliance, and really build a framework that flexes so that way we could grow without losing the personalization aspect. So the 3 biggest lessons I learned was perception, framing builds trust, and that it's how people see you. A purpose, clarity creates confidence, and then process, structure gives you freedom. And this was really the backbone of how I continue to build and scale what we're doing. So let's talk about something that I'm going to go through my process of what I do with the advisors. So when someone Googles your name, what do they see? I think this is a really important question, or a statement that every advisor and really leader should look at is whenever someone Googles you, what pops up, what do they see? Because that's the first thing that they're going to think about. You are what the search engine says you are, and I really want that to sink in, because I think a lot of people don't Google themselves or don't really think about the perception that people have online. But it's really important to see how you show up and how you compare to others, because your digital presence is your new handshake. People are making decisions before you even speak, before they talk to you. If someone refers you to someone, the first thing they're going to do is Google your name, look you up on Facebook. And so making sure that what pops up really aligns with who you are and how you show up in person. So I encourage advisors to check their profiles as if they were a prospect. This is their personal and professional pages, and just really looking at, if a prospect were to look you up on Facebook, the way you interact, the way you engage, would you trust that person with your financial future, with your financial plan, with your generational income, with your family's future? The next is I created a marketing fact finder, which I call your DNA. DNA is something that we often talk about at our office. What makes you different, new, and attractive? And so just how a financial advisor, when they meet with someone, you go through a fact finder, an onboarding document to kind of get the bigger picture to build their plan. We do the same with marketing. So what is your mission? Who is your ideal client? Who are you trying to reach? What legacy are you trying to build? What have you done in marketing that works? What have you done in marketing that doesn't work? What have you always wanted to try but maybe never had the time, resources, or energy to give it to? And from there, we build a strategy and a framework to really connect all the pieces and bring it to life. And that brings us to your brand's digital blueprint. So everything in the fact finder goes into your blueprint, it goes into a marketing plan, and then everything that we create radiates from your DNA. And so when the foundation is clear, then everything else falls into play. Even though the focus is on social media, it goes into like, what kind of client events are we hosting? What is the client experience? The foundation is set, and so we just have clarity in every part of marketing, whether we're partnering with someone else to help execute it, or we just haven't gotten there yet. And from there, I'd love for advisors to just fall in love with their brand on social media. We moved to social media strategy, where we develop a strategy that is for that advisor and who they're trying to connect with. And we want them to feel proud of how they show up online. So here are just a few examples. The different categories that we go into is personalization, thought leadership, and then niche content. So personalization, I love, most of the advisors I work with have families and kids, and I love all the little kid pictures and just kind of relating it to some sort of financial aspect. So we love, this is an advisor, her daughter was on a Disney ride. Are you scared of financial free falls? Our team is here to be secure and be on the ride with you. Thought leadership, so there's a lot of great content out there, but really tailoring it to how you speak in client meetings. So if an advisor or a team talks a certain way, we want to make sure that we're portraying that thought leadership in a way that they speak in meetings, so that way it becomes relatable via social media. And then making sure that the content that we're posting is also tailored to the market that they're trying to reach. Sometimes advisors are hesitant about posting certain things, but if it's important to your person that you're trying to reach, then it's important that you post about it. This is an advisor. We look at what makes you different than the rest. So she's actually one of the most tenured Black female advisors at Northwestern Mutual. So her focus, we're representation. She's in leadership. So we focus on, she wants to mentor the next generation of advisors that come in. She's very trendy, so we try to do all the trendy reels within compliance that we can do, but she's really owning her narrative and showing how she's different, new, and attractive to the marketplace. And the goal is to make it this is Anitra, it is unmistakably her as she shows up online, as she shows up in person. The next advisor, what makes you better than the rest? So we focus, they are very much faith and family. So we do a lot of things about how they show up with leadership, what awards they are receiving. We're very clear on their brand messaging, and they are big on faith and family, so we're not afraid to show that online. And we're very much if this doesn't resonate with you, then that's okay. It's okay if you are very specific in who you're targeting. It's okay for that person to say no and know that you're just not a fit. And then the firm of choice for your market. So this is another example. This firm, very strategic toward 1099 medical professionals. So we're making sure that we're putting content out there that's for them, questions that medical professionals are asking, as well as retirement planning. And then here are some other examples that we do. So we'd love to bring just personality to life, celebrating different milestones, celebrating their expertise. So a lot of advisors have a CFP or a designation. What does that mean to the client and people that they want to work with? We're celebrating pumpkin spice latte, this advisor approves, just kind of making some stuff fun for them and celebrating what they're doing in the community. And then there's different levels of different branding. So a lot of the advisors that I work with are also in a leadership role. So they're not only marketing their business, but they're marketing to have financial advisors or people that are interested in join our team. So we're making sure that we're posting about our internship opportunity, we're posting about our career opportunity, what it means to be mentored by certain leaders, and really have someone look at it and say, I want to be a part of that firm. I want to create impact just like Jesse is, or just like this person is. And we found that as the need for women in financial services continues to grow, the more that we highlight women, the more interaction we receive. Actually, anytime we highlight a woman within our firm, the interaction and engagement rates go extremely up. And I think that it's really important. Anytime we get the opportunity to highlight women, we do so. From there, we have a content calendar. So I have a content calendar that has everything that's going on within the firm, and the different ideas that we are posting online, so that way everyone is in alignment with what's going on. I know if the team is having an event, they know if I'm going to be posting something, and we personally use Sprinklr to stay compliant. So we have like an internal document that has, for internal use of what our social strategy is, and then we utilize Sprinklr to make sure that everything gets scheduled out and is in compliant with our brand. And then as far as ROI goes, I use these 3 metrics in terms of ROI. So we measure engagement. Obviously, are we connecting with people? What does our engagement look like? We measure this on a quarterly basis. We look at production. So are we seeing growth? We look at business goals and awards and recognition, and knowing that marketing played a role in some aspect to get there. And then we look at client feedback, or people feeling it. And I feel like the client feedback has been really gold for us. Whenever an advisor talks about, hey, this client saw this, it really got them excited, or we really loved the way that y'all posted this online, it gets the advisor excited, and then they get more excited about marketing. So it's just creating momentum. And I write down any feedback I get from advisors. So if I get an email or a phone call saying, my best client really loved what you did on social media, I'm taking note of that, so that way we include it in our metrics when we reevaluate our relationship and just kind of do a quarterly review. We have all of that down, so it just reaffirms the value that social media provides. And here's a perfect example of that and how consistency pays off. I was actually in our Atlanta office in June, and one of the recruiters was talking to me about how she followed our firm 4 years ago, and she was just staying in touch with what people were doing, and she saw the consistency and the growth within our firm, and she had reached out to say, I don't want to be an advisor, but I want some part of this role, and she now is on the team. So I think that really goes to show how consistency pays off. We now have a team member that aligns with our core values and the way that we're growing and what we're doing in the community. And whenever we first start with marketing, there is a 500-pound gorilla, or it feels like a 500-pound gorilla, that you can't ignore. And this guy represents something that all advisors feel, and sometimes we might feel, whenever we start marketing in the financial world. Does anyone know or could think of what this 500-pound gorilla might be? Compliance. So sometimes compliance feels really heavy, but it only feels heavy whenever you don't understand it. So most of the advisors that I work with, they get hesitant with marketing because, well, what can I do with compliance? Or I can't do this. Or I want to be on YouTube and we can't do that, so I don't want any part of marketing. But what I've learned is that sometimes advisors really don't understand the rules and how we can play within them or the meaning behind it. And so really educating the advisors, but also partnering with our compliance team. So if there's an idea that we want to implement, it's like, hey, how can we do this? And most of the times the compliance, they will work with you or help educate or explain it in a way that advisors can truly understand it. So the way I like to tame my gorilla is really knowing and understanding the rules, asking permission versus asking for forgiveness. So I always partner locally and then sometimes corporately. Well, always partner corporately, but sometimes local has to go to corporate to see how we can play within the guidelines, and then educating and empowering the advisors on it doesn't have to feel heavy. We can still have fun with marketing. Compliance is really here to protect our brand, and some companies don't have that, so we're going to use it to empower us. And it's really cool to see them and reframe compliance as a creative partner versus something that's scary. And then the truth is that anyone can build a fractional program Anyone can take an idea and run with it, but we're in a relationship business, and so relationships are really key to what I found building this program. A lot of the advisors that I work with don't just view me as a fractional marketer or a fractional CMO. They view me as part of their team, and it creates stickiness locally and corporately because we're providing a value that they're not getting anywhere else, and it's really building on the relationship and being a win-win for both people, and knowing that, like, I'm in your corner, I will do whatever to be in your corner, vice versa, and it's really just an amazing thing to have. So 3 things I want to leave you with. One is find what gives you energy. So after being, CMO for Louisiana, Mississippi for 8 years and discovering RAD, that gives me energy. I don't claim to know it all, but I know that framing and social media is my bread and butter, and anything else I can delegate or partner with to make that happen. Build a fact finder, and so making sure that you create a marketing fact finder or a marketing playbook for your advisors and really focus on what is their DNA, what makes them different, new, and attractive. And then audit how you and your advisors are framed online, because as a marketing leader, we want to know how our advisors are being seen, what people see whenever they look them up, and how that affects any decisions that are being made. And so I'll leave you with this how I started with, it's not about who you see, it's about who sees you. And this is something that my dad, who was kind of like my mentor in the business, always taught me. And in today's world, it used to be like, hey, I'm going to dress a certain way or show up to an event a certain way because I might see an A-plus client or I might see a really great prospect. But today's world in the digital aspect, it doesn't matter if you're showing up like in a suit or in sweatpants or really how you look. People are looking you up and they're seeing you before you even have a phone call with them. And they're really making decisions based on how you interact and engage with people. And so making sure that if you got anything out of today, it's not about who you see, it's about who sees you. This is a QR code to my LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you. It says I'm a minute over, but if anyone has any questions, I would love to take them really quick. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm curious what social channels you see the most success on. I know you talked a little bit about Facebook, but comparing Facebook and Instagram, even if you dabble in TikTok in this industry. Also, some of the content, we tend to see more success with like real-time content and like video content versus like those static templated posts. I'm curious if you see more success with one or the other as well.
Yeah, so we currently can use, at least with Northwestern Mutual, because that's who I'm affiliated with, we can use Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I feel like it kind of, like we go through different phases, but LinkedIn we find a lot more success on. Instagram, we just got access to Instagram last year. And so I feel like that's kind of something that's like slow to see real engagement, but we're doing more like video content on Instagram, and that is starting to gain momentum. But LinkedIn is kind of where we've always seen a lot of interaction and real just engagement. As far as the content goes, we kind of do like a mix of like current and then just content that's for the certain market. The corporate office puts out a lot of current real-time articles and things that we can use, and then we'll kind of take brand personality or something else and like mix that into what we're doing. But we're still getting used to like video content because that's something that's so new for us in particular, and getting advisors to feel comfortable in front of the camera and not look so like, I'm scared, but I'm here. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think there was just one more.
It should be quick, I
Yeah.
promise. I work with a lot with independent advisors, and so everyone has their own brand, but we do have a couple of advisors. We recommend a list of different outlets, but there's so much pushback. How do you convince them that they need what we're offering?
I really don't convince them. I mean, I feel like if they don't believe in marketing, it's just not going to work. I show them that like this is the value of what other advisors have seen, but ultimately, I'm not going to like try to convince you to do it because I feel like a lot of times some advisors that want to be convinced just focus on numbers, and it's not a realistic thing with where we're at. So like we just got access to Instagram. So some advisors will be like, "Oh, well, this guy has 100,000 followers and has this and has this." And then it kind of goes back to the clarity over comparison where like, okay, well, if you want this, you can go out and pay for it, but is it really going to give you what you want? Are you really going to be connecting with the right people? So I find that if an advisor wants to work with me, but I have to prove myself, it's just not a good fit. Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you. I knew that would be an important panel.